This week's reading, The End of Education by Neil Postman, was probably one of my favorites. I thought that it was just super intriguing, learning about the different belief systems that are present in society and just like the different things or gods, as Postman put it, that people believe in and like the ones that they center in their life, and how it just varies so much depending on the person that you're talking to. It also depends on like the culture of the person you're talking to or like where they're from. There's just so many factors that go into the specific god or gods that someone chooses to believe in. With that being said, like since this was a more like complex idea, I definitely feel like I struggled a little to find an artifact that fit how I was imagining it to, and I think I had to do a lot more research than before. And so the artifact that I landed on for this, it's titled The Gods of Education, and it's by Christopher Ryan Burgess. And basically he breaks down the gods in education. He basically breaks down the different gods that education serves. Talking about mainly higher education, he also mentions high school education. But basically, he acknowledges that, like, as students, even as young students in high school, like, there should be some type of purpose or rhyme or reason as to why education, why, everyone in society is pursuing education, at least to the extent of like elementary school, things like that. And I like how he explained it because he definitely touched on a couple different gods. The first god that he touched on was the economic god, the god of economic utility, I believe Neil Postman refers to it as. And honestly, the name of that god is a little different than what I thought it was going to be. This refers to like how education and like being in school gets students ready for the workforce, and it gets students ready for living their life outside of school, because people are not usually in school for the entirety of their life. And so he explains how like one of the gods that education serves is an economic one, where students are gearing up to take part in capitalism and get a job and contribute to the economy and things like that. And so I thought that was an interesting take. Just the way that he explained it further. And then this article, he also proposed like a different god, and it was a god that he said that Postman did not actually touch on itself, but he proposed like a god of discipline and punish, and I thought that was super interesting. But he made a few good points for it. He basically explained how like first, he referenced how prisons tend to resemble schools in like physical appearance. Schools tend to resemble prisons as well. And so it was just, ironic for him to realize, because some students are like, oh, school is prison. I'm in prison right now. But he goes on and like further explains how like, when you're in school, you are taught a lot of discipline. You're taught that you need to listen to your teachers, you need to listen to their instructions. And that's, basically one of the only ways that you're going to excel in life and like be successful and be able to be an active member of society. So that was interesting that he proposed that. And then of course he also explains how education serves the god of technology. I feel like this is a more like recent analysis of education, but it is 100% true. I remember like being in at least high school, like we didn't really use laptops that much. We used laptops like very rarely, maybe sometimes in like writing class, and we would like group write and things like that. But like now in college, I use my laptop for everything. If my laptop like broke or something, I would not be able to complete my schoolwork. On top of that, I just feel like being even in higher education, being in college, like being able to navigate technology is basically a requirement. Just because like all of your assignments are online now, you need to be able to communicate with other students online. Once you go look for, internships and things like that, that's all online. So yeah, I just think this whole article showed me how people can serve more than one God, and not even just people, like corporations and like establishments, they serve more than one God. And so looking at like the clash of gods, and when you start thinking about serving the science god, for instance, rather than serving like the god of economic utility, those would just, you would think, would look different in your head, but like sometimes they go hand in hand and they build off of one another. And so, yeah, I feel like in general, the belief systems present in society right now are just very complex.